Good evening and welcome to VSB News Online for Wednesday, November 26th. I'm Peter Cattell. A Warwick Academy student was taken to the King Edward Hospital this morning after she had been involved in an explosion in the school's science department. At approximately 10:30, police and other first responders received calls about the incident, and the female student was taken by ambulance to hospital with what were described as minor injuries. Officials from the Government Health and Safety Office were also called in to conduct an investigation. A police spokesman said that the private school's protocols were enacted, but that the day-to-day operation of the school had not been affected and parents should not be alarmed. Most of the action in the Senate today was confined to the motion to adjourn, which produced a range of subjects, from the alleged misogynism of opposition leader Mark Bean to the plan to build a new airport. Opposition leader Senator Diallo Rabeng gave VSB News' Brian Darby a brief review, including his own apology for getting it wrong over the alleged jailing of a principal connected within the Club Med site redevelopment.
Last week I intimated that one of the principals of the Desarallos group had been convicted and jailed as a result of a Ponzi scheme, and that was incorrect. I did make a statement in the Senate to that effect, that the person that I was referring to was involved in a civil case, and that is he's being civilly sought to give back money that is thought to have been the result of a Ponzi scheme.
So that was that? That was that. Why did it come back up again?
Why did it come back up again? It's because when I said it last week, I realized it was said in error. My notes were erroneous, and I wanted to correct that, because when I'm wrong, I like to admit that I have been wrong.
But then the debate seemed to have taken a weird turn after that, to the point where the whole issue of whether the PRP wants the OBA to succeed came to the fore.
Yes, and I did point of order the Senate leader of the government, and saying that no, we don't want the OBA to fail. And what I meant by that is we don't want the OBA to fail the people of Bermuda. It has nothing to do with the party itself. It's about moving Bermuda forward, and everything that we do in these chambers and in that other place has to be for the people of Bermuda. Actually, I was very surprised to hear Senator Fay talk in those terms. It was almost as if he was electioneering when he was talking about it, saying that the Progressive Labor Party can't afford to let us be successful and that sort of thing. It's like, why would we want to fight anything that can be potentially helpful to the people of Bermuda? What we are asking for is transparency and clarity on what it is they're trying to do, because to this point, it doesn't seem to be working. No one on the other side can dispute the fact that we have less jobs today than we had in December 2012, despite what statistics they point out. No matter how many companies domicile here, we have less jobs, and that means that their policies are failing at the moment.
Now, did the issue of your leaders' comments on ladies and women also come up in the Senate, and under what context? And did you respond?
The leaders' comments came up, and I don't wish to expand upon them, because I now know that there is a police investigation going on, and that I don't want to prejudice anything that's going on there. But it was Senator Woolridge mentioned them, and I had brought up that allegedly there was a One Bermuda Alliance supporter that was at the by-election having words with a PLP supporter, and the One Bermuda Alliance supporter had to be pulled away. And I was questioning, if we're going to talk about harsh words being said at a polling station, let's be honest. Let's not be hypocritical and give one person a pass and another person you want to go. What seems to be a concentrated plan by the Dunkley administration to smear the name of the leader of the opposition and of any opposition member, when the simple fact is it's deflecting away from the fact that their policies are not working. And we have less jobs today than we did in December 2012.
Government leader Senator Michael Fay supplied a different version of the way the Senate debate had gone.
We were pleased that Senator Rabeng withdrew his comments in respect of some of the allegations made against the principals of the Desarallos group, which are very important to make it clear. However, I take great umbrage to be lectured at in the way in which we seem to be lectured at about our transparency in government and the way in which we manage projects from the very party that has put us in the position that we find ourselves in fiscally. People seem to want to forget about the debt that we're in. It's almost like people want to turn the other cheek, but the reason that we're having to come up with some of the more unique ways of building projects and getting projects funded is because there's simply no money in the coffers for us to be able to do the things that perhaps we'd like to do. And I'm not going to stop reminding people of that. It seems as if when people are on the ropes, the best form of getting off those ropes is to attack furiously and cast bad light on government initiatives. The point that I made, and I was very pleased indeed to hear a response to the point that I made, is I said that the opposition seemed to be in a catch-22 situation. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that, Brian, is that as much as I'm sure the opposition wants to see Bermuda succeed in terms of job creation and the government fulfill its mandate, of course, should we be able to do that, which I'm very confident we shall, that if we fail to do it, then of course that opens up the door for the opposition. I was glad to hear today the opposition leader in the Senate say that they were not interested. They didn't want to see the OBA fail. Well, that's great. So work with us to make sure that we get the job done that is required, rather than casting aspersions on the very projects and things that will fulfill our mandate for Bermudians getting employment.
And your members also are very concerned still about Mr. Bean's comments, the misogynist tone that he's taken.
They are indeed, and as am I, and I think that it now would appear that comments are being made from within the opposition based on today's front page story, but I'll leave that for them. In respect of, well, my speech was this afternoon, or this morning rather, is to make sure that people are well aware that whilst there are some of these things that go on, we are still on track to fulfill our mandate for jobs for Bermudians, getting things done in the manner in which is appropriate, and moving on with the agenda of the government. We won't be distracted by some of the things that the opposition wishes us to be distracted by.
Another thing about the $1 billion use of funds for the new airport, it's basically true, but it's also part of a whole different picture.
Well, in terms of whether it's true or not in respect to the figures, the opposition finance shadow, he has his views on the money that may be spent. But even if that figure was accurate, it seems that there's a lack of taking into account the expenditures that it takes to run an airport. In fact, Senator Jardine spent some time laying that out as an independent senator. So if you're not interested in hearing the back and forth from the members of the opposition and members of the government, Senator Jardine laid out those figures very well indeed about expenditure from the budget book and the like. So we're pleased with that.
And we'll be back with more news after this.
The Marketplace Food Court is you and your family's one-stop shop. Start your day at the Breakfast Bar with omelets made to order and traditional Bermuda codfish breakfast. The chefs will cook lunch and dinner to your liking. Along with the salad bar, sandwich bar, sushi bar, and fruit bar, the Marketplace Food Court is your kitchen away from home. Every day is hassle-free with nutritious meals from the Marketplace Food Court. Visit us 7 days a week. Homemade cooking, quality service, all at prices you can count on.
Police have launched a manhunt after a gunman and his accomplice held up staff at Mr. Chicken in the Heron Bay Plaza in Southampton. The armed robbery led to the men making off with an undisclosed amount of cash at around 10 minutes past 10 last night. BSB News' Chris Lodge has the details.
Police believe that the gunman went inside the restaurant while an accomplice remained outside on a motorbike. No shots were fired, but a police spokesman says that the gunman was given an undisclosed amount of cash before both men fled the scene heading west on a white motorcycle. The armed offender is described as about 6 foot 1 inch tall. He was wearing dark clothing at the time of the robbery. Police now appealing for anyone who may have any information on this incident or who may know the identity of the perpetrator to contact CUI on 295-0011 or the confidential Crime Stoppers hotline on 800-8477. I'm Chris Lodge, VSB News.
Christmas is less than a month away, and with the joys of the holiday season comes the Christmas Grinch. Acting Superintendent Calvin Smith and Inspector Derrika Burns of the Bermuda Police Service went to the Washington Mall to give this advice to be on guard for the Christmas Grinch.
When you're out shopping, as this is the festive season, avoid carrying large amounts of cash, and where possible, purchase your goods using checks or debit cards or credit cards or whatever your convenience is. If you have to use an ATM machine, choose an ATM that's in a public area or an area that's well lit and with plenty of people around. And only withdraw the amount of cash that you need to buy your purchases. Don't fill your pockets with cash when you only need to spend $50 and you fill your pocket with $500. Try to avoid that. And when using the ATM machine, shield the PIN number with your hand. Use your hand to cover the PIN number, so if there's any onlookers with dubious intent, that they don't get your PIN number when you're using the machine. Retain your receipts and notify the card issuer if you lose your card. That's important, and if you lose your card, by all means call the bank immediately to have the card canceled so that no one else can use it.
Keep doors locked and windows closed when you are away from your car. Do not leave packages visible in your car windows, and consider securing items inside the trunk, or if possible, take them directly to your residence. When approaching and leaving your vehicle, always be aware of your surroundings. Park in a well-lit area, if possible, and do not approach the vehicle alone if there are people standing nearby that are acting suspiciously. Have your keys in hand when approaching your vehicle. Check the back seat and around the car before getting inside. Do not buy more than you can carry. Plan ahead by taking a friend with you or ask a store employee to help carry your packages to your car, and avoid traveling alone if possible. Avoid giving or taking rides from strangers or individuals who may seem to want to assist. For women in particular, I'm asking that never leave your handbag unattended in a shopping cart, on a shop counter, or on the floor by your feet.
Independent Senator James Jardine told the Senate today that it was totally incorrect to claim that the new airport would cost the people of Bermuda $1 billion in revenue over the next 30 years if it was made the subject of a public-private partnership. You only had to look at the government budget for the past 4 years to see that it would cost even more to operate, he said.
We know, based on comments from the Minister of Finance, that the current departure tax revenue stream will go to the financing of the project. We believe the period of leasing will be 30 years, but again, there's no firm number on that yet. It could be 35 years, it could be a lesser period. The revenue streams for financing the new airport may or may not include additional revenues which may be earned by enlarging the airspace around Bermuda, which we control. And the final point I want to make, and there's been a number that's been bandied about of $1 billion, and I just want to hone in on that for a minute. Based on the average revenue streams for the last 4 years, and I've run the numbers, Madam President, the total gross revenues, including the departure tax, equals $25.5 million. And yes, per my calculations, that does equate to a nominal inflation-adjusted number of $1 billion over the next 30 years. But, Madam President, nothing in life is free except the air we breathe, and there are expenses associated with that revenue. And if you look at the budget book, again, over the last 4 years, you will see that it costs $22.7 million of expenses to actually run the airport. The government surplus out of the airport operations is only $2.8 million a year on average for the last 4 years. And if you extrapolate that out for 30 years, adjusting for inflation, you come up with a number of about $112 million. There's quite a difference between $112 million and $1 billion.
One is in the private sector, the other is in the fire service, but they both have one thing in common. AirCare's Pat Paparelli and Fire Officer Aaron Denkins are the only people from Bermuda who have qualified from the tough National Fire Protection Association course in Boston. They met up recently at the Hamilton Fire Station during the Fire Prevention Week, which was being supported by AirCare. A specializer in fire protection systems, Pat Paparelli said it had been a really tough course, but he had learned a lot and found it an extremely worthwhile experience. while Acting Divisional Officer Deacon said it was one of the hardest exams he had ever taken, and that sitting as he had done with engineers and other design professionals had been a humbling experience. Some 2,000 professionals have been awarded the highly regarded certification, which is internationally recognized. And now we turn to Earl Baisden, all the way from the Central American and Caribbean Games in Veracruz, Mexico, for today's Sports Report.
Last night at the Devonshire Recreation Club, the Bermuda Football Association's FA Challenge Cup preliminary matches saw a double-header take place. The Devonshire Colts went down 3-2 to the Somerset Eagles. Somerset Eagles got goals from Kenai Frey, Anwar Telford, and Lamar Crofton, while Eli Smith and Lizandro Simons scored for the Devonshire Colts. In the second match, after a scoreless first half, Wolves took a lead over the Paget Lions in the 65th minute when Sergio Richardson converted from the penalty spot. 5 minutes later, Stephen Bremer doubled the Wolves' lead as they, like Somerset Eagles, have advanced to the first round of the Bermuda Football Association's 2014-15 FA Challenge Cup round. Meanwhile, Reggie Lamb and his Menfield Town teammates recorded a 1-0 victory over Conrad Rangers to advance to the English FA Cup second round. Portsmouth, the historic naval town on the south coast of England, will host America's Cup World Series racing in Britain in 2015 and 16 as part of the build-up to the main event in 2017. British challenger Ben Ainsley is building a base in Portsmouth for his Ben Ainsley Racing Team, which aims to win the America's Cup in 2017 and bring the Older Mug back to Britain for the first time since it held it in 1851. Ainsley is quoted as saying, "This is about righting a wrong. We have to bring it back." The choice of the venue for the 35th America's Cup will be either San Diego or Bermuda, and the announcement will come on December 2nd. Ainsley is quoted as saying that the British team would prefer Bermuda given its connection with the UK. The Bermuda Amateur Swimming Association has updated their short course meter records following the 2014 Burlington Open and the Millfield and Taunton Super Series swim meets. During the Burlington Open in the boys 8 and under division, Elijah Daly set a new 100-meter breaststroke record, touching the wall in a time of 1:48.59, breaking the record that had stood for 32 years of 1:50.48 set by Sam Keys back on November 1st, 1982. Daly also set a new 100-meter individual medley record with a time of 1:36.59, breaking the record of 1:36.73 set by Mitchell Garapi on June 6, 2008. In the girls 9 to 10 age group, Elaine Daly set a new 50-meter breaststroke record, clocking a time of 39.98, breaking the record of 40.54 set by Naomi Vibes back on June 10th in 2005. In the Minfield Taunton Super Series swim meet in England, the girls 13 to 14 age group, Emma Harvey is now the 100-meter butterfly record holder after clocking a time of 1:06.97, breaking the record that stood for 14 years of 1:10.53 set by Ashley Aiken on May 1st, 2000. Harvey then broke a 26-year-old record in the 400-meter individual medley when she touched the water in a time of 5:30.68, breaking the record of 5:34.97 set by Jennifer Smatt back on June 1st, 1988. The Bermuda Squash Rackets Association's club championships continued with 4 matches needing 5 sets to determine a winner last evening. In the men's open round of 16 match, Anthony Fellows defeated Beckett Simmons 11-6, 11-5, 9-11, 7-11, 11-1, while John Stout defeated Gary Lavon 11-7, 10-12, 10-12, 11-4, 11-9 in their men's open classic plate round of 16 match. During the men's veteran round of 16, Tony Parentes defeated Phil Barnes 8-11, 11-8, 13-11, 5-11, 11-9, and Jeffrey Engelman defeated Paul West 11-8, 8-11, 11-9, 7-11, 11-7 in their men's veteran first round plate match. Charlotte Toogood defeated Abigail Brewer 11-9, 11-5, 11-4 in their women's open plate quarterfinal match. After surprising the Eastern region a year ago and qualifying for the final round of the NCAA Championships, Dej Minus and his Franklin Pierce University men's cross-country teammates were left on the outside looking in as they finished 4th at the NCAA Championships Eastern Regionals at the Mines Full Park Trails. Sophomore Miners placed 28th after recording a time of 32:34.8. Jillian Teixeira continued competing in her second indoor competition of the season in Belgium. On day 2, Teixeira competed in 2 classes. Teixeira and Lacval finished 17th, recording a time of 51:54, and they had 10 penalty foul points while competing in the 1.35 meter Table A in 2 phases class. Teixeira and Amarula finished 43rd, competing in the 1.40 meter Table A against the clock class. They recorded a time of 65:32, and they had 12 penalty foul points. The Bermuda Volleyball Association's Winter League season continued at 2 locations, the Cedar Bridge Academy Gymnasium and the Warwick Academy Gymnasium. At the Cedar Bridge location on Net D, Take a Hit defeated the Blizzards 18-13. The Blizzards stayed on the court and defeated the Russian Revolution 18-7. On Net C, the Bogle Fight defeated the Alphas 19-17. Hot Sets on a Platter then defeated the Alphas 18-13. At the Warwick Academy Gymnasium on Net A, Hit Me With Your Best Shot defeated the Chengo 25-13. See You Next Tuesdays defeated Chengo 25-16. On Net B, in early action, the Digs defeated Smash 25-17. And See You Next Tuesdays defeated Smash 25-21. In Commercial League Bowling League action at the Warwick Lanes, it saw the Alley Pals defeat the Superstars 4-0. The Spinners got by BTC 3-1. Sweet Life defeated Live Wires 3-1, while Team Unsponsored defeated the Braves 3-1. The Sunsets got by Guard Do It Best 3-1, and the game between Double Trouble and the BPS Blue Lanterns ended 2-2.
Thanks for watching VSB News Online for Wednesday, November 26th. I'm Peter Cattell.